to Manifesting Mastery. Today we're doing an Abraham Hicks inspired meditation, part of our series on her teachings. This one is called The Next Best Feeling. Find a comfortable position. Take a breath in and let it go completely. Abraham talks about something called the emotional guidance scale. The idea that every emotion you could ever feel is arranged like rungs on a very tall ladder. At the very top sit feelings like joy, appreciation, freedom, and love. At the very bottom sit feelings like grief, despair, and powerlessness. And in between, every other emotion has its own rung. Anger, frustration, worry, boredom, hopefulness, contentment, and so on. All stacked in order. Here is the part most people miss. You cannot leap from the bottom of that ladder to the top in a single jump. If you are standing in real grief or real fear, and someone tells you to simply feel joyful instead, it doesn't work. And worse, it can leave you feeling like something is wrong with you for not being able to get there. That gap is simply too wide. Emotions and the vibration underneath them don't move in leaps. They move in increments, the same way a rocket doesn't jump straight into orbit. It moves through stages, each one building on the one before it. This is why Abraham doesn't talk about finding the best feeling. She talks about finding the next best feeling. Your point of attraction, the energy you're putting out, and the reality that energy calls back to you, isn't determined by the destination you're dreaming of. It's determined by wherever you are actually standing right now on that ladder. And folded inside that is good news. No matter where you're standing, there is always a rung just slightly above you, well within reach. You never have to reach far. You only ever have to reach for what's next. This is also why forcing positivity so often falls flat, and why this practice tends to feel like relief rather than pressure. You are not being asked to lie to yourself about how you feel, or to paste a hopeful thought on top of a painful one. You are simply being invited to climb one honest rung at a time, trusting that each small step changes your momentum more than it seems in the moment. So wherever you are right now, however you are feeling as you begin this meditation, that is a perfectly acceptable place to start. Now let your eyes close. Breathe in again and let your body soften with the exhale. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. There is nothing to force here today. This is a practice of small steps, not big jumps. Take a moment now to notice how you actually feel without judging it. Maybe you feel tired. Maybe you feel a little anxious or a little flat or a little bored. Maybe you feel fine but not quite settled. Whatever it is, let it be there. You are not here to fight your current feeling or pretend it away. You are simply here to notice it clearly, the way you'd notice which rung of the ladder your foot is currently resting on. There is no shame in any rung. Every feeling is simply information about the thoughts you've been thinking. And every rung, without exception, has another rung just slightly above it, well within your reach. So let's find it together. If you are feeling something heavy right now, sadness, frustration, worry, we are not going to ask you to leap all the way to joy. That gap is often too far, and reaching for it can actually make you feel worse because it highlights the distance rather than closing it. Instead, we are going to look for the very next feeling above, where you are, just one step up. If you feel frustration, the next best feeling might simply be impatience, which is a little lighter. If you feel worry, the next best feeling might be a kind of alert curiosity. If you feel bored, the next best feeling might be a mild interest in something, anything nearby. Let yourself explore this now. Ask yourself quietly, what would feel just slightly better than this? Don't strain for the answer. Let it arrive the way a word arrives when you're trying to remember it, softly, almost sideways, when you stop gripping for it. Maybe the next best feeling is relief. Maybe it's a small sense of hopefulness. Maybe it's simply the feeling of being safe enough right now, in this exact moment, breathing nowhere else you need to be. Whatever it is, let yourself lean into it, even slightly. You don't have to convince yourself of anything grand. You only have to tip gently in a better direction. Breathe here for a moment, honoring whatever small shift has occurred. Now, Abraham often describes this process like turning a large ship. A ship does not spin on a dime. It turns slowly, degree by degree, and each small correction changes its course more than it seems in the moment. Your emotional state works the same way. You are not trying to force a dramatic turnaround. You are simply making one small correction and trusting that momentum will do the rest. Let's practice this turning again, one more rung. From wherever you find yourself now, ask again, what would feel a little better than this? Maybe frustration eases into simply feeling calm. Maybe worry eases into feeling a bit more grounded. Maybe flatness eases into a quiet contentment. Let each shift be small. Small is not a failure of this practice. Small is the entire mechanism of this practice. Notice that each time you find a slightly better feeling, you are not pretending. You are not lying to yourself about difficult circumstances. You are simply choosing which thought, among many available thoughts, to give your attention to. And the thought you give attention to is the one that grows. Let's take this a little further. Think of something in your life right now that is easy to feel good about. It doesn't need to be big. It could be a warm drink, a pet waiting for you at home, a song you like, the fact that you set aside this time for yourself today. Let your mind rest there for a moment on something unremarkable and easy. Feel how much lighter this is to hold than the heavier thought from a few moments ago. This is the practice in its simplest form, moving your attention again and again toward whatever is the next easiest thing to feel good about. You can do this with almost anything in your life, not by ignoring what's difficult, but by refusing to stay parked on the hardest thought when an easier one is available nearby. Let's practice once more, this time thinking of the future rather than the present. Bring to mind something you'd like to happen, a goal, a relationship, a change you're hoping for. Notice honestly how it feels to think about it right now. If it feels tense or far away or full of doubt, don't push through that. Instead ask, is there a version of this thought that feels a little more spacious, a little more possible? Maybe instead of this has to happen a certain way, the next best feeling thought is, this is on its way, even if I can't see how yet. Maybe instead of "I'm behind," the next best feeling thought is "I am exactly where I need to be to take the next step." You are not required to believe the biggest, boldest version of the positive thought. You only need a thought that feels the smallest amount lighter than the one before it. This is how momentum builds, not through a single dramatic realization, but through dozens of small upward steps, one after another, each one a little easier to believe than the last. Take a breath now and notice where you've landed. You may not be at the top of the ladder. That was never the goal for today. You have simply moved. You have proven to yourself that movement is always available, no matter where you started. Remind yourself, gently, I do not have to leap to feel better. I only have to reach for what's next. Every feeling I have is simply information, not a verdict. I am always one small thought away from relief. Let this truth settle into your body for a moment. You are not stuck. You were never stuck. You were only ever one rung away from something a little easier to carry. As you prepare to return, notice that you can use this practice anywhere, at any moment, in traffic, in a hard conversation, lying awake at night. You don't need silence or stillness to do this. You only need the willingness to ask quietly, what would feel a little better than this? And then to let the answer, however small, be enough. Slowly begin to bring movement back into your fingers and your toes. Take one more deep breath in, and when you're ready, let your eyes open. Thank you for practicing with me today. If this meditation supported you, a like and subscribe helps this series reach more people. Explore more meditations on manifesting mastery, and I'll see you in the next practice.